Good evening to you. You're live here on GHOne TV, and you're welcome to State of Affairs, the most commanding show where we interview the newsmakers on the most pressing issues happening across the country. We are just 44 days, the 2024 general elections, and this evening we'll be putting focus on the NCCE. We are joined by Chairperson for the NCCE in the person of Kathleen Addy, and we're going to be delving deep into the report released by the NCCE titled Matters of Concern to the Ghanaian Voter, hitting on issues related to the elections, monetization within politics, and much more. Just do stay tuned right here on State of Affairs. Now, it's proudly brought to you by MTN, and get ready for a game changer. That's to SMEs, because we are introducing Yellow Biz, our new multi-service bundle with everything that you need for smarter business solutions. It's an all-in-one package consisting of 4G router, Microsoft Office, Web Biz, and Unicom service. Now, it's a very good deal that you wouldn't want to miss. With MTN Yellow Biz, your business gains access to advantage productivity tools, a powerful online presence, and superior customer experience to optimize your operations. You're watching State of Affairs right here on GH1 TV. Now, currently, as Ghana stands on the threshold of another crucial election, this conversation with the NCCE could not be more timely. Madam Addy, thank you for joining us here on State of Affairs. It's good to have you.
Very nice to meet you.
Now, we've got this report that has been released by the NCCE, a very detailed report, in fact, ahead of the 2024 elections titled Matters of Concern to the Ghanaian Voter. First of all, what key takeaways would you say stood out for you and that informed the operations of the NCCE in the days ahead?
Sure. Thank you very much, and thank you for the platform and the opportunity. Matters of Concern is a flagship survey report that we release every election year since 2004. And so it's just that this year it's a bit late. Normally we will release it around June, and it will inform manifestos, and it will help
what
shape
led to
debates.
it being released rather late?
Oh, several. We'll get to that. Yes. So we are a bit late today, but at the end of the day, we still have it. We haven't had the elections yet. It's still an opportunity for those seeking power to have, a document that is very clear about what it is that the people want. If you want to serve the people, you want to lead because you want to serve, then you must be interested in this Matters of Concern report. In terms of what jumps out at me personally, the idea is to understand the things that are important to Ghanaian citizens. And so we have the key things that jump out are the things that always jump out: health, education, unemployment, road infrastructure. And the good thing about this report is that it doesn't just talk about these things in broad terms. So for instance, when you look at health, there's a breakdown to say which aspects of healthcare is what stands out for you most. And so you have a breakdown of that where people are saying whatever stands out for them. Same with education, same with unemployment and all of that. It's a very detailed report. So for me, we should be asking ourselves, that these issues, and since we started doing these surveys, so these are the issues that are always in the top 5.
They are.
They are
so
always.
These issues have stood out.
Yes, they've always stood out.
The surveys.
So meaning that this is a pressing need of the people, and those who are offering to lead us must give us, clear programs about how to tackle these key things that actually affect people and occupy people's minds.
Now, before we delve into detail, just briefly, what led to it being released at this period? Because as you said, it's usually put out in a certain period and forms.
We did not get our releases early, so it kind of held us out a bit. But like I said, we've got it now.
Now, let's touch some more on, now you speak about the specific areas of education and employment-related issues, healthcare, roads as well. in spite of the fact that these areas stand out throughout the various reports that you've carried out throughout the years,
yes,
what differences, what striking areas have you observed this time around?
Like I said, we always ask these questions, but it's never the big question. You understand? It's never just what is most important to you, because there's a ranking as well. And then once you pick out what's most important to you, you pick out what about that issue is most important to you. And this is a big report, and it's a lot. And so I won't say something is jumping at me more than the other. All I'll say is that these issues keep coming up. And I know that these are the big things in the economy, in the budget, always. And so maybe we should look at how we are approaching these things. How are we, because we spend a lot of our income as a country on health and education. Those are the biggest spenders. And so why do we still have this huge need, this huge gap? Why are people still yearning to have more things in healthcare? Why are people still complaining about? We should be asking ourselves these questions, and those coming to us with ideas should be discussing what other ways, can we be more efficient in responding to the needs of the people. So I think that that's where the discussion should be. Why do we have these things standing up? When we break it down and we look at some of the reasons why, or some of the details of these things.
Now, education is of particular importance to me as well, because of course we know that the current administration has gone heavy on education. Education has been a main focus area, a main area of investment with free SHS and so on. So what continues to be the concerns of voters as it pertains to that?
Okay, so the other thing we did with this report was that we asked for the breakdown in terms of both MPs and president. So when it comes to education, we have specific issues in the education sector for MPs to address in Parliament. And then we will have specific issues for the government to address. So I have in front of me specific issues in the education sector for MPs to address in Parliament. So the first one, and that's about 32%, say is enact laws to improve the free SHS policy. Right. The second one is advocate for the construction of more educational facilities.
Infrastructure. Yes.
Advocates for increased funding for education. Enact policies to address the needs of teachers and other educational staff.
Right.
So these are the things. Free SHS obviously the big things on everybody's mind. But here we have saying a good number of people saying that let's refine it, let's improve it. Yes. So for me, I think that those are the discussions that we should be happy. When we see our parliamentarians in Parliament, we want them to be talking about these things, not this other stuff that has been going on lately. We want them to be talking about these things, that these are the things that are keeping people awake at night. And these are the people,
I'm going to inform voters' decisions.
And these, if you're looking to lead, surely you must be looking to serve, right? And if you're serving, you must make sure that you are responding to the needs of people. So if these are the things that are keeping them awake at night, we want to see that these are the things that you're focused on. These are the things that are on your mind as well, because we want to assume that you are here to ensure that things get better for people.
Improve
the whole idea of the democracy and the government and the government and the people is a social contract. People cede their freedom. People cede their taxes, their income. People cede their power, their liberty. They cede it to you, and then they elect you. And you are supposed to deliver some things for them. So all we want to hear you talk about is the things that you are going to deliver for the people who elected you. That's it. We don't want to be hearing anything beyond that.
Now, just talking about what the people want to hear, I just want to pick your thoughts on this briefly. We've had the whole issue of presidential and parliamentary debates, right? And why specifically is the NCCE not organizing parliamentary and presidential debates? And what do you make of this debacle between the two major political parties and their flag bearers with regards to not being interested whatsoever in debating one another?
Well, we will have the parliamentary debates because the thing is that
the parliamentary debates.
Yes, the parliamentary debates. Those debates are hinged on this report. So it's not just pulling things out of it. We have constituency-specific issues that come out of the way we collect the data. So for every constituency, I mean, the issues that will be raised for discussion will be issues that are specific to that constituency. So this report has to come out before we can proceed with the
when is that likely to?
Oh, in the campus. Currently, there's a whole strike action and everything, and hopefully that's resolved this week. As soon as that is resolved, that will kick off. Yes. On the presidential debate, I really don't have much to say about it, because I mean, I guess from the point of view of the candidates, it's probably a matter of strategy. Maybe you think that it won't add much, or maybe it will add much. But the thing is that, you see, we don't have a culture of the debate. It doesn't look like the debates inform the choices that people make. It doesn't look that way. Right. Maybe there's no study, but just anecdotally, right? If I'm judging anecdotally, I would say maybe the debates don't heavily influence or help people to make a decision. And so if that's not the case, then maybe that's why. Maybe we should build that culture more. But in your view, I mean, from where you sit, do you think that it's a necessity as it stands? I don't know about it's a necessity, but it's a good thing. Right. Necessity is different, it's a different kind of thing, but it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to see candidates being cordial, debating in an atmosphere of rules and regulations, demonstrating that they can, engage each other, even if they disagree. In this atmosphere, for me, that's a very important visual for people, especially when you think about the fact that there's always this threat of looming violence around every election. Right. It's a good thing for people to see that the people who are competing for power, can be cordial and civil, even if they disagreeing in front of everybody. It's a good look. Right. So for me, that's a big thing. Secondly, it will be good to hear what everybody has to say for themselves. That's also a good thing. But like I said, if we are not at the point where candidates feel that this is a big game changer in terms of who decides to vote for me or whatever, then maybe they can make that decision. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just
there's no
telling
study.
What
no study has been conducted.
Yes, but I think that's what it is. Yes.
So generally, how has voter education been going with the NCCE up until the December 7th election?
Thank you very much. Voter education has been ongoing. We have undertaken several activities in the course of the year. If you follow our social media pages, you will see all the things that we've been doing from January. We have been, we work in consensus with others, so we have been building these consensus platforms. We visited traditional authorities, we've visited key state institutions, traditional authorities. I think we've been to see the Yana, seen the Stantini, we've seen several others that I can't mention all of them right now. We've been to state institutions, the CDS, the Chief Speaker of Parliament, a whole range of others. Why? Because we are trying to build this consensus around the things that we are trying to, the education that we are trying to give in this election year.
How about for the people? I mean, not
just a minute.
Aside
just
the stakeholders.
Let me come that. I'll come to
Carry on.
Give me a chance. Give me a chance. And so this year we are working with 4 broad thematic areas when it comes to education. First one is money in politics. The second one is violent and intemperate language. The third one is fake news, misinformation, disinformation. And then the fourth one is religious tolerance or intolerance. So these are the 4 broad themes that we are working with. And these visits to these leaders and these key people that we are meeting is to share this information with them, to get more ideas from them, and to help them understand why we are going on this tangent, because they educate people as well. They meet people as well. There's a good reason why we've picked these 4 things to be talking about. And as much as possible, we want everyone else to be talking about it. And we want everybody else to be thinking about these things that have an impact, or that can have an impact on the time before the election, during the election, after the election. Yes, so that's why we've done these visits. We've also activated our inter-party dialogue committees. These are district-based committees that oversee or arbitrate disagreements, political disagreements at the district level. The committees have representation from the political parties, from the traditional authority, from local government. They also have representation from the security, architecture, and the community, and one or two notable key influencers in that community. And we activate that committee every election year, right, because they do arbitration and peace building among political parties when they have disagreement. And it's so important to settle the issues there at that level before it builds and escalates as it's bound to go. So we have activated those committees. They are working as well. We are doing our public engagements with young people, especially with general public, with young people. We're doing town hall meetings across the country. We're doing some in-school activities for young people. And we have activities for out-of-school youth as well. Right. And we held a civic fest just recently, 10 high schools in Accra. And the idea of the festival was to use art. Okay. General arts, not just the drawing, to depict the themes that we're talking about. So they produced their drawings and paintings. There was music and dance. There were skits. There was rap dance. There was dance, or all kinds of rap music, rap, and then dance. Yes. You're right. And so we are doing all of these different things to ensure that the message of civic education goes out there. Yesterday, we launched matters of concern that we are discussing today. This is a big thing for us in an election year. Based on this, we will deploy our parliamentary debates in the coming weeks. And beyond that, we are also doing these, we would normally go to markets, lorry parks, and all of that, because that's where you find a lot of people. Right. Now we are also branching out. We will be setting up in the malls, small stand in the malls, handing out flyers, talking to people where they were allowed. We'll have the megaphone. We'll be doing the public education. We are also going to the entertainment places now. Okay. I think last week we were at Kizomba in Salsa.
And it's effective there as well.
Well, we hope so. You see, wherever people are, we need to go there and give the message. So we went there, and in between the dance, they had to sit down and listen to us. Boo us a little, but okay.
Right. Now we'll touch some more on some of the challenges that has been faced, however, by the NCCE. Sure. And vote violence, really, by voters as well, which is stated in the report.
Yes.
Watching State of Affairs here on GHOne TV. Do stay with us. You're welcome back to State of Affairs here on GHOne TV. Now, Kathleen Addy serves as the chairperson for the NCCE, and you've just released a report, Matters of Concern to the Ghanaian Voter. But I wanted to touch on the challenges that have been faced by the NCCE. What are those?
Well, NCCE historically is always financially challenged. It's nothing new, and it's not going to change overnight. And so, but this year, election year, in terms of the budget that we actually got, it was better than previous years, because of course, being an election year, there's a lot more consideration because of voter education and related activities, we do a lot more. The releases were slow in coming in the beginning, but in the last 2 months, we have got what we need, and so we've been able to ramp up our activities.
And this is sufficient for the most part, approximately?
This year, we've been able to procure some cars. Okay. We've procured about 40 pickups, not yet supplied, but we've done the procurement. We've got some cars, some cross-country cars for our regional directors as well. So not too bad, I would say, for an election year. But like I said, some of it was slow to actually come through the system. But eventually, we've got a good chunk of it, and we are able to...
And this is a budget of about?
I think it's about maybe 20 million or 20 something.
20 million?
I think that you should have told me we're going to discuss budget. I would have brought you the paperwork so that you see it, because our budget is a public, document, so you can find it anytime you want. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to quote something
that is inaccurate.
Yes,
but you're saying approximately.
But let me
it's
say
about 20
that
million?
what we have received so far might be in the region of maybe 12 million or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
You're not entirely, but what is dedicated for?
So this is for goods and services.
Right.
I can't say what we got for CAPEX, but I can tell you what we've done with it, the cars.
Okay.
So if you put the cost of all the cars together, that's what we
that amounts to what?
So we've got the cars,
right.
and we've got a small bus which we needed desperately for our staff. And then
where's there still lacking? What is?
Oh, it's a lot lacking. We are buying motorbikes as well, but the problem with NCCE is that we are starting from a very low point. What you have to understand is that this is a big institution with offices in every district. I think we have many offices across the country. Every district has an office.
Right.
Every metropolitan area has an office. And if you want them to be effective in the work that they're doing, you must provide the tools for the work.
Right.
So we don't even have the fleet that we need now. You understand? So ideally, every office should have minimally a pickup and a motorbike, right? We don't have half of that for the entire commission as we speak. And this is after buying maybe over the last couple of years about 50 pickups. We still...
So the commission is still largely relatively poorly funded.
I don't think that first of all, I don't think that the gap can be addressed overnight.
Certainly.
I think that if we have the situation where every year we get something, over time. But the problem has been that there's been deep deprivation for a long time. Yes. Right. So even if you get a lot added, it still doesn't, it's not half. Even after this 40 pickups, I can't say, okay, we have half the fleet we need. I still can't say that.
Right.
You see what I mean? So the gap is still there. But it's always better when you're adding than when you're not doing anything.
Right.
So we are, so that's the state of affairs. Like I said, we've bought some cars this year.
Yeah.
We've got some money to do away. Most of the time, matters of concern will have donor support. This year, we did all of it on Government on Ghana.
Okay, in previous years.
Yes, in previous years, because in previous years we will have maybe a huge donor election support.
Right.
This year was a little different. Our donor project is actually, our EU project is actually ending in November. It's not specific. It's a project that is related to elections, but it's not a pure election project. You understand?
Right.
And so, it did not have funding
so
for
this time.
This is entirely on Government of Ghana. And in previous times, mostly it had been on the budget with support, because we don't just use the funds we get from government. We go out and fundraise very aggressively. We have partners like the European Union that are faithful partners. They support us all the time. But
so approximately for the report specifically.
Don't ask me how much it costs. I don't know.
You don't know how much.
I can't tell you
you can't tell.
There's we have training for the RAs, the research assistants. We have going out there to collect the data. We have writing the report, and I don't have the number in front of me.
Okay, very well. Now let's speak to the election-related violence, right?
Right.
Now it says in the report, 18.7% of the study that was conducted, respondents were aware of pre-existing violence within their constituencies. Males are twice as likely to have experienced election-related violence, than females, and it also highlights the fact that political polarization and fierce rivalry were cited as the main triggers for election-related violence in Ghana. What specific measures has the NCCE put in place to deal with this? Okay.
First of all, our mandate as NCCE is an education mandate.
It's as far as that.
It's as far as that. And as far as that goes, we are really putting in a lot. Apart from the general education that we are doing, apart from making violence and intemperate language a key thematic area around which we are doing public education. So everywhere we go and speak, we speak about violence and related issues like intemperate language. But we are also undertaking activities targeting, in particular, young people in deprived communities, young people who are unemployed, young people who are frustrated, because these are the people who tend to be deployed to undertake these activities because they're vulnerable. And powerful forces take advantage of their vulnerability.
Highlighting, so I was going to ask that what specific reasons have you observed leads people to take part in this violence?
I think that we have some, most say that they find the violence justified if they feel that in the course of the elections they've been treated unjustly, or that their party is being cheated or something like that. What we tell them is that as much as possible, and I'm no spokesperson for the Electoral Commission, if you want clarification on how they are doing this, please visit their website. Don't just listen to things that you hear on air. Visit the website and make an informed decision. On election day, you can go there. I don't know if you're old enough to know, but ballot boxes used to be opaque, right? Making them transparent was a game changer, because in the past, ballot box snatching was a big deal. It was it was a very normal thing. These days, because we can all see the empty ballot box,
it's much more difficult.
It's really muted. The ballot box snatching is almost gone out of fashion, right? So what it tells you is that when people have confidence, right, they are less likely to behave
take part in acts of violence.
In acts of violence, right?
Now,
let me just make the point. Right. So we tell people that get the information you need to get the reassurance that nobody is doing anything untoward or intentionally doing anything to disrupt the process or to give disenfranchise anybody, or to give make the loser win, something like that. So inform yourself, one. Secondly, when you are approached to undertake violent activities that are illegal, that you know very well that you are not supposed to do, you have to think about it in a particular way. One, those giving you the resources to go and undertake the activities, you have to ask yourself, how do they see me? How do they value me? Where are their children? Why am I the one doing this part of the work? We are not saying that do not participate in politics or do not be actively, very active in politics, in partisan politics. In fact, you have to be active in politics. It's part of our democratic setup. We are doing multi-party democracy, multiple parties, so you must make your choice. You can fight for your I don't mean literally fight. You can canvass, you can campaign for your party. So when the people come to you, tell them, we will campaign for the party.
As opposed to engaging.
We will not fight. Because when you fight, I don't know how fighting adds one vote. Think about it.
No, certainly.
If you go out there and you are punching people, does that win votes?
How does it really
Because
contribute?
ultimately, the whole point of the election campaign is to get more people to vote for you.
Now, just to touch on the issue of mistrust, right? Do you find there to be a need to engage with the EC as it concerns to issues of concern that have been raised and mistrust? We know specifically the NDC has, for a period of time, reacted to issues, being the manner in which the EC is conducting it, and has spoken specifically about, has gone on to say that the register is not fit for purpose and all that. Do you find there to be a need to engage with the EC? Because this mistrust by the NDC, for instance, is likely to trickle down to its supporters.
I understand you. Our engagement is with the people. Institutionally, there are arrangements for problem solving. IPAC is one such an arrangement. The Peace Council does a lot of work between all these parties and all of that. We support sometimes, but there are structures for dealing with that. Our main brief really is to ensure that people do not fall for the push or the request to undertake violent activities, because there are ways of solving problems and it does not have to be violent. So that's really where our mandate is, and that's where we focus on. The institutional problems and differences, there are other mechanisms for dealing with it. Sometimes we are part of it, sometimes we are not. But that's a very different thing from public education, which is our primary mandate.
Now let's move on to the issues of vote buying in Ghana's elections. I'm looking at that section within the report. It says that it highlighted that the elements within politics, vote buying, a majority, 83.7% knew what it was, right? And so further highlight that, the issue of vote buying and how that is specifically being dealt with. We know that poverty, economic situations pushes people, according to Kadeo as well, to sell their vote, right? How is the NCCE really educating Ghanaians to know that that is not the path to take?
So on the issue of vote buying, what we want people to think about is to think beyond the 500 cedis you just collected and to ask yourself, what are the consequences of this 500 cedis you collected? A lot of people will say, well, I picked my share. Let me just take my 500 and go. First of all, this vote buying never used to be this open and this brazen. It used to be something that was whispered, that was rumored.
So you observe, of course, that it's very open.
So right now, it's open. Yeah. The sellers are openly selling. The buyers are demanding.
Right.
And then when they finish, they all go on TV and say, hey, this is what I sold. This is what I bought.
Right. I mean, there's no shame, really.
No. Right. You know, so it's very dangerous. I keep saying this. It's very dangerous because there is no money tree.
Yeah.
Do you know where the money tree is? A tree sitting somewhere that is growing money that people will pluck. There's no money tree. So that means this money is coming from somewhere. Wherever it's coming from, it will go back with interest. There's no free money in this world, none anywhere. There is a lot of money sitting around, a lot of dark money, a lot of illegal money, a lot of criminal money.
Certainly. But how does your education really go to those in the rural communities as well?
But this is what I'm telling you. This is what we tell them. And so when you take the money, you have to understand that it has to go back. And we will pay a developmental price. Right. Because if somebody has to go and find some of this money and come and share for you, and you take the money and you make the person win, they're going to focus on getting that money to go and pay back and get another money to come and share for you. That alone means that focus on development will be very divided.
Right.
Secondly, the source of the money is important. We have to think about it. What if one day we sell our country to a criminal cartel because they were the ones who supplied the funds for somebody to win an election? It's very possible the way we're going. It's very possible. And do we know what the consequences of that are? So I think that when it comes to the money, we've really become normalized in the culture. And people think that, it's just 500 something. But if everybody is taking that much, then it comes to a lot of money. You know, CDD did a research that that clearly showed that for primaries, a member of parliament at the primaries level we need over $200,000 for campaign. A lot of that money is just money that they are sharing.
Yeah.
And flat screen TVs that they are buying to share. You see what I mean? It's a lot of money. $200,000 is a lot of money. So where is this person getting it from? How are they paying it back? We must be interested in these things. And for me, that is part of our small failing when it comes to being active citizens and being interested in governance beyond the elections. You know, in this country, we do the elections very well. We've done 8 good elections. We have a reputation for being a great electoral democracy.
Yeah, we do.
But the things that happen between the elections, where the real democracy should be in action, we go to sleep. We elect people and we go to sleep. And then a few years later...
So talking about post-elections, what's the NCCE's
post-elections
initiatives in that regard?
Okay, so we work with a lot of different groups of people. Particularly, we have the hotspots that we focus on. We have the youth groups that we work with. Recently, we've been doing work in some of the major deprived areas in Accra, where young people, are in the hustle and they feel left behind and so on and so forth. And so we have a relationship. We have relationships with these groups already. Right. And so over the period, we are monitoring and engaging and hoping that, we'll be able to manage to keep them away from illegal activity, even beyond the elections. I keep telling people, when you go and, you get yourself involved in violent activities and you lose a limb, metaphorically, and the day comes and your party has won and everybody is jubilating with 2 hands, you will have 1 hand. That hand will not grow. The other one will not grow back.
Right.
And so whatever it is that you're fighting for, you have sacrificed so much. All the others have their limbs. You have lost a few things, a few drops of blood, whatever. Right. It's not worth it. So we are out there campaigning that this year, let's not lose any life. Let's not drop any blood for the sake of somebody getting into power. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
All right.
Yeah.
Very well. Now, I want to pick your thoughts on some other topical issues, right? And what do you make, really, of this seeming impasse between the legislature and the judiciary, specifically with the Supreme Court? You know the current happenings. What's your take on them? And what's the best way out, solution to them?
I don't know about solution, but I can say that from our survey, we know for a fact that these are not the issues that the electorate are expecting our legislators to be focusing on. It's very clear what their problems are, and we must take these things seriously and focus on trying to solve these problems once we are given the mandate to do that. That's one. Secondly, I have to say that democracy is something that is constantly evolving, and sometimes it takes tension and misunderstanding to resolve whatever it is. It is my hope that this is one of those learning moments where it will be resolved in such a way that it will make our democracy stronger. Because having misunderstandings, even between arms of government, is not a strange thing. It's not out of the world. It's not new. It's not new at all. But I'm just hoping that in the process of figuring it out, it makes our democracy stronger, and it makes it easier for these kinds of problems to be addressed in the future. Because once it's happened, it will happen again. Whatever it is that happened, once it's happening today, it will happen again. So let's resolve it in such a way that if it should ever come up again, we won't go through this process. That there will be it will be clearer as to how to resolve it. So that's really what I have to say about that.
Now, when you were speaking earlier, and I believe it's highlighted in the report as well, you can clarify as per which specific section, but the use of improper, say, language on the campaign trail. You can give me the specific term that you referred to, language that's used. What's your relationship or level of engagement as well with the political actors, not just the Ghanaians, but with the political actors?
Yes. We engage the political actors as well. We try as hard as possible to point out things to them. But like I said, our mandate is a public education mandate. So we do the education. The problem is that education,
The education is, when you say it's a public education mandate, how do you interpret this mandate? I mean, does it exempt the political actors?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that so we do the education. We do reach out to them. We do highlight these things for them. And we try to maintain a relationship that allows us to have the access to be able to engage them on these things. And so,
do you find that they hold this relationship in high esteem in terms of the information that's put forward? What do you observe?
Yes.
What do you observe?
I can't comment on that right now. I can't say that.
I mean, it's integral though.
I know, but I cannot say for a fact that they totally disregard what we say.
Do you think they regard it enough?
Maybe not, but it is an ongoing process. It's not ended. The education hasn't ended, and there's always a new crop of politicians emerging. One of the things we're trying to do, moving on, how we started last year, is to try and build a relationship with the very young politicians, people who are still in the university, and try and help them to find another way of doing the politics more attractive. Try and help them to understand that it is okay to disagree without getting heated, that your political opponent is not your enemy. Politicians will have us believe that political opponents are supposed to be your enemies, but it's not true.
I mean, oftentimes they may even have good relationships.
They do.
I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah, so your political opponent is not your enemy. So if it's not your enemy, then it helps you to, process the way you engage them in a more meaningful way for better outcomes. At the end of the day, politicians must keep the people at the center of all that they do. That these people are not only making the sacrifice to exercise their ballot to go and put me in a position, but they put me in that position to serve them. Because leadership is really about service. You understand? So, like I said, we have a lot of engagements with politicians.
And you mentioned politicians,
but
fairly
we are fairly
well.
focused on developing a program targeting emerging politicians. Yes, young ones, so that we can influence them, let them have joint programs, let them right from the start to engage in a different way, help them to do problem solving, help them to do even how do you campaign effectively? Because a lot of the things that politicians do, I ask myself, how is this getting you a vote? Because the whole idea of this is to get you. So how does insulting your opponent, how is it attractive?
Well, if you make your opponent less attractive in the eyes of the voters, it might just increase your chances, no?
I don't think so. will you decide to vote for somebody based on?
We have to. The voters. Some voters may be more.
No, we are all. You know, it's not. Listen, if
education could also impact the manner in which a voter would assess.
But at the end of the day, I think that we must think of campaigns along the lines of, will this bring me a vote? If you think of the campaigns along the lines of, will this bring me a vote? A lot of the things that people do, they won't do. You understand?
But so how do you assess the rhetoric of our political actors, though, currently, in the various platforms, both flag bearers and vice presidential nominees of all parties, but the major political parties? Where do you find that it could be better?
It could be better. On all sides, it could be better.
Where do you observe that?
If you're trying to tell me to mention a name that this person could be better, it's not going to happen.
No. Where do you find that it could be better?
I would just say that overall, it could be better. On all levels, it could be better, and we should really be doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Natalie, you hold your thoughts there briefly. We'll shortly round up the program here on GHOne TV. But before we do so, I'd want you to know that with Buy Now, Pay Later with Sametro, you can now buy a sleek and trendy smartphone and enjoy the luxury of paying in convenience ways, that's weekly or monthly installment payments. All you have to do is walk into any of MTN's service centers to choose your favorites from a wide range of mobile phones on offer. Now, the best part of this is that all phones come with 2 gigabytes free data, so you can share your photographs and get all the biggest scoops online for the first 6 months after purchase. So go on and share this exciting news with your family and friends and stay connected on the smart side of life with MTN and Sametro. You are watching State of Affairs here on GHOne TV. We return shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back to State of Affairs here on GHOne TV. Now, Madam Kathleen Addy.
Madam Natalie.
What are your final words, really? We've got just a few days.
Literally
50 days to the 2024 general elections.
My biggest worry with these elections is really the violence, because the consequences are permanent, painful, and totally not worth it.
Right.
So for me, I would urge us all, not just for ourselves. The people who undertake violent activities are not strangers. They are our family members, they are our extended family, they are our younger siblings, friends, or their friends, they are the cousins that we never met. They are all of these people. Right. Let's all work hard to ensure that they have a different mindset and a different way of thinking about this so that no blood will be shed. Let's have this election without bloodshed. It's okay to disagree, but take an example from the fact that, or observe the fact that powerful people, the very powerful people, hardly lose any blood in election. Right. The main people do not lose any blood during an election. If you are being asked to go and fight and risk your life, you should ask yourself how these people see you and the value they place on you as a human being. And advise yourself after that. And all the youth groups out there, when they come to you, tell them that you will do the campaign for them. They should resource you to go out there and canvass for them. And canvassing is more likely to win votes than fighting. Right. So I'm just appealing to all of us to focus on it and make sure that this year violence does not become part of the election discourse.
Very well. It's been a pleasure having you on State of Affairs here on GHOne TV. Now, certainly we'll be disseminating the key points in the matters of concern reports, but publicly, Ghanaians can also find it, on public platforms. Right?
I'm sure, if not already, by tomorrow it will be loaded on the website so you can access it. But I can present this to you.
Right, okay, wonderful.
This is your copy.
Okay, you're presenting it to GHOne.
Yes,
okay, very
you guys
well.
have been so good to us.
Thank you.
Free platform and things, we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much.
We are more than grateful.
Thank you
Thank you so much. And thank you for watching State of Affairs this evening with my conversation with the chairperson of the NCCE, Kathleen Addy. And we've got just a few weeks to the 2024 general election. So go out there, exercise your franchise. But as she said, do so peacefully. Exercise restraint as well. Remain your election hub. Do stay with us here on GHOne TV. I'm Natalie Force. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.